Ever feel like Excel is locked in a treasure chest and you're missing the key? By the end of this video, not only will you find that key, but you'll unlock the basics that turn you into an Excel wizard in no time. Hello and welcome back to Skill Sprints. I'm Mark, your Chief Skills Officer. Today, we're stripping away the complexity and diving into the very basics of Excel. This video is perfect for you if you've never used Excel seriously before. Excel isn't just a tool for number crunchers, it's a Swiss Army knife for data. It can be your best friend in everything from budgeting for your weekend getaway to plotting the growth of your startup. And guess what? You don't have to be a math whiz to master it. So grab a cup of coffee or tea and let's kickstart your journey into the world of Excel. We'll open up the software and go through the ABCs, no prior experience needed. Right now, you're looking at a magnified view of the Excel interface. And if you think it looks a little intimidating, you're probably right. There are actually hundreds of individual tools and settings and selections you can make within Excel. We're going to go over the most important ones in this video. To navigate the interface, we just click. Right now, we're looking at the Home menu. There's other menus that have different sets of tools. The Insert menu lets us insert complex types of charts like pivot tables, but then also simple items like pictures, shapes, and icons. The Drawing menu is exactly what it sounds like. It lets you annotate your spreadsheet by drawing. There's a Page Layout menu, which chooses how the actual sheet your document is printed on may be oriented. A menu for creating formulas, a menu for handling data, a menu for tools for reviewing your spreadsheet once it's created, a View menu, which deals with your on-screen views. For example, right now we're zoomed in to 300%. And then there's a Help menu here. I could actually simply ask for what help I needed by typing it where the cursor's flashing. I have an Acrobat menu because I have Adobe Acrobat installed, and we're not going to be talking about that today. I'm going to go back to the Home menu. The Home menu includes the most common tools that we'll use to enter data and format. Below the toolbars is our actual workbook. Some people just call this a spreadsheet, but a spreadsheet is actually a sheet within your workbook. If you look at the bottom of the screen, this sheet is called Sheet 1. We can actually change the name of Sheet 1 by double-clicking on it, and I'm going to call this My First Spreadsheet. The actual spreadsheet is divided into individual cells. The way we address a cell is first by the column name, which is a letter, A, B, C, D, E, and so on, and then the row number, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So right now the cell selector is in cell A1. Any cell I click on, now B2, becomes active. And I can move the cell selector around and make a cell active simply by clicking. When a cell is active, any information I type into that cell will appear there. So with cell B2 active, I'm going to click on the formula bar, and I'm going to type the label for the data we're going to put in this column, which is band name. Now, if I press enter, the cell selector moves down and the words band name are saved in cell B2. I can also move the cell selector with the arrow keys on my keyboard. And here I'm going to put song name. And finally, in cell D2, I'm going to put the word rating. So we now have 3 columns with my cell selector in B3. Our B column is for band names, our C column is for song names, and our D column is for ratings. And now I can enter data starting in row 3. So let's go ahead and enter a couple of band names, song names, and ratings. We'll start with my favorite Journey and the song Faithfully, and we'll rate on a scale of 1 to 5, we'll give that a 5. The Cure and the song is Plain Song, give that a rating of 5. Let's do one more, the Doobie Brothers, and let's make the song China Grove, and we'll give that a rating of 4. Now notice the text the Doobie Brothers doesn't fit in cell B5, but our columns are adjustable. If I point between the columns, I can drag to the right to increase the width of the column to accommodate all the text. That's much better. So we've already got a very small spreadsheet with some information in here. We can now format the text in the spreadsheet just like we would in a word processor or any other program that we use. When the cell selector appears in a cell, that's the cell that we're formatting. I can select more than one cell by dragging. So now notice cells B2, C2, and D2 are selected. If I hit the bold option, all of that text becomes bold. If I select a different typeface by choosing the font selection menu, it'll apply to all those cells. Let's choose the font Bierstadt, and we're going to use Bierstadt Bold. And there you can see the typeface has changed. I can adjust other elements of my type, like the color. This is the font color selector, and I can select any of these colors. Or I can choose more colors and select just about any color my computer can produce. Let's go for a deep orange. I think that'll work, and I'm going to click OK. And now my text is formatted. I can also format the text for the data itself. This time I dragged not just across the column, but all 3 rows for which I wanted to select the text. Let's also make this text Bierstadt, but let's make it Bierstadt regular. And let's adjust the size right here next to the font selection down to 10. I think that looks pretty good. The last thing I'm going to do for formatting is I'm going to select my entire data set, including the headers, and I'm going to create borders with the border tool. I'm going to select all borders, and I'm going to click in a blank area to deselect the selected cells. And notice we now have line borders around our entire spreadsheet. So already we've been able to move our cell selector around, enter data into cells, and format those cells so they look the way we want. And while Excel is used to organize just about any type of data, where it really excels is with numerical data. Let's create a new sheet within our workbook. Down at the bottom, I'm going to click the New Sheet option, which is the plus sign, and let's name this sheet. Let's call this By First Numerical Spreadsheet. And let's zoom in to make this easier for you to see. So I'm going to go to the View tab, expose my view tools, and I'm simply going to click right in the zoom box and I'm going to type 300. That means essentially our cells are 3 times the normal size. Let's go back to the Home menu and let's enter some sales data. This will be fictional data. Item, quantity, cost, total. So let's say the first item that we sold was a Journey CD, and we sold 1, and the cost was $12.99. So we entered that data. Let's do another one. Let's say an REO Speedwagon poster. You can't tell I really like 70s and 80s classic rock. Let's accommodate this text by stretching out column B. And let's say they bought 2 REO Speedwagon posters, and those were $9.99. And we'll do one more. Snickers bar. Kind of an odd order, a Journey CD, an REO Speedwagon poster, and a Snickers bar, but we'll go with it. And let's say they had 3 Snickers bars, which were $1.59 each. Now, obviously, there is some math here to do because we want to know the total that was spent for each of these items. So there was 1 Journey CD. So here we know the total is $12.99. Now, for the REO Speedwagon poster and the Snickers bar, we have to do a little more math. Now, we could do that math ourselves. We could pull out the calculator tool and do the math, but that's really not what we want to do. We want to let the spreadsheet do the math for us. So when we're going to have the spreadsheet do some arithmetic, or when we're going to create a formula, we start with the equals sign. I'm going to type the equals sign right in the cell, and then I'm going to type the formula. But instead of doing this, $12.99 times 1, the asterisk is what we use for multiplication, that'll work, and we'll get $12.99. And I could do this here as well. $9.99 times 2 works fine, but that's not the best way to do it, because if I went and changed this data, now our total is wrong. So what we're going to do is reference the actual cells in our formula. So equals, and what we want to do is multiply cell C3. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to put my asterisk for multiplication, and we're multiplying cell D3. So there you can see our formula. And now when I press enter, the math is done. Let's do the same thing for the REO Speedwagon poster. Equals, so we're doing a formula, cell C4 times D4. Press enter, 1998. And let's try it one last time, but we're going to do it a little differently. Instead of clicking, I'm simply going to type the cell references. So the quantity of Snickers bars is in C5. We're multiplying that by D5. And there we get the expected and correct result. Let's add one more line of sales. Let's say in addition to the Journey CD and the REO Speedwagon poster and the Snickers bar, they bought a DVD of The Cure. And they bought 2 of them. One maybe was a gift. That was $19.97 each. And so again, we could create the formula. But because we've already created this formula above, we actually can use copy and paste the formula in. So there you can see, if we look at the formula bar, the formula for the row we're currently in is C5 times D5. And when I click in the formula, the actual cells that are part of the formula get highlighted, making it easier for us to see. So I'm going to click outside of the formula bar and reselect the cell. This is the formula I want to copy. Let's choose Edit and Copy. And our destination cell is E6. Notice the animated marquee around the cell we're copying. All right, so we're copying into E6. Let's choose Edit and Paste right there. Now, it actually pasted, if we look at the formula bar, C6 times D6. So it's smart. It doesn't copy the exact formula, but it copies the formula and uses the cells in the row we're copying into. So we actually get the correct result for that row, 39.94. If we wanted to get our total sales for the day, we would have to add up all the values in column E. And we could do that with a formula too. Equals E3 plus E4 plus E5 plus E6. And when I press enter, we get the total, 77.68. And there's nothing wrong with doing it that way. But I also can use a function. A function allows us to do more complex math, but do it in a way that's a little bit easier. So here, let's go ahead and use a function. I'm going to move to the Formulas toolbar. And notice there's an Insert Function button up here. And here you can see a lot of the functions that are available. There's dozens and dozens of functions. Functions are divided into categories. So we have date and time functions. We have functions that work with text. We have logical functions. And we're going to use the sum function. Now, by the way, quick trick. If I use AutoSum, it figures out what we want to do, and that works just fine. But let's not do this automatically. We know there's an easy way. Let's write the function so we understand it. The function we want to use is sum. So I'm going to choose Insert Function button. And this formula builder appears on the right-hand side. And this is designed to help us with building the function. The function we want is called sum. It's actually right here in the window, so I'm going to click it and then choose Insert Function. And now it wants to know, what do I want to sum? And here I could put the individual cells, E3, and the second one is E4. We can keep adding them here, E5, and E6. And that's correct. If I press enter, we'll get the correct number. And you can see we use the sum function to sum E3, E4, E5, and E6. E3, E4, E5, and E6, the values in that column. We look in the formula bar, you can see how the function was written. Sum this list of cells. When you have a range of cells like this, there's an easier notation, however. Let's erase this function, just pressing delete, and let's try it again. This time I'm going to hit sum. We're going to insert the function. And notice it says E3 colon E6. That means E3 through E6. That's called a range. The different way of writing the formula, if I click done, we get the same result. Look at the formula now in the formula bar. That means sum the range E3, E6. Like I mentioned, there are dozens of individual functions within Excel. This is just one of them, but they all work basically the same way. So for example, that's our total, but what if we wanted to know the average sale? Well, there's a function for that. Equals average. Then we're going to put in our range, E3 through E6. And there it shows our average sale is 1942. Every function works basically the same way. And if you use the formula builder by pressing the Insert Function button here, you actually get help with each function on the bottom of the formula builder. So if we wanted to see how the count function works, here is exactly how it works and what it does. It's a lot of fun to explore these functions, and some of them are quite powerful. Here's some new data. I've put this in a sheet called inventory, and this is an inventory from a toy store. And we can see here, there's a lot of data that you might track in an inventory: a SKU, an item name, a manufacturer, category, price, number in stock, and last order date. This information is a little bit hard to review because 1, the table is unformatted, and 2, it's not organized in any particular way. So we're going to take care of both of those problems. With all of our data here, first let's take care of the formatting. From the home menu, I'm going to choose Format as Table. Here are a number of options for automatically formatting this to make our data a little bit easier to read. I'm going to choose a pattern with alternating light and dark rows, maybe this one right here, and it's going to ask, where is the data for the table? It automatically tries to sense it, and A1 through G88 is correct. We can scroll down here. A1, the top left, through G88. My table does have headers. Go back to the top row, and there you can see the headers: SKU, item, manufacturer, and so on. So let's click OK. We'll just click yes for the warning, and that looks much nicer. We've got light blue rows and white rows, making it a little easier to read. It's also bolded our labels at the top. You might notice these down arrows that have appeared at the top of each row, and that's because this is now a table. And these arrows let us do sorts and filters. If I go to the data menu, there are sort and filter tools right here in this part of the menu. This is another way to access those tools. So here I clicked the drop down by manufacturer. If I clicked ascending, all of the data is now alphabetized by manufacturer. So we can see that Bondi is the first manufacturer. And if we scroll to the bottom, Xbox is the last manufacturer. If we did a descending sort, it's a reverse order sort. We can sort by any of these columns. So instead of sorting by manufacturer, let's sort by category. Now we have a nice sort by category. Below the sorts are the filters. The filters let us select which particular data we might want to see. So you can see all the categories listed here, and right now Select All is checked. I'm going to remove that check, and let's say I just wanted to see board games. Put that check there, and now just the board games category is showing. Look at the row numbers on the left. See how it skips from 1 to 11 and 14 to 89? The other rows that contain the categories like action figures and building blocks are still in memory. They've simply been hidden. Let's choose a second category besides board games. How about video games? Only one. Remote control. There we go. And you can see as I add categories, more lines become visible in the spreadsheet. So now I have my filter. If I want to show everything again and clear the filter, I simply click the Clear Filter button. As you can see with the table design, the sorts and filters, our table is much easier to view and navigate. And that's it for this particular skill sprint video. We went over a number of individual skills in Excel. Movement of the cell selector, entering data into cells, formatting cells, formulas, functions, tables and table formatting, and sorts and filters. Thank you so much for joining us here on Skill Sprints. My name is Mark. We'll see you next time.